capital news tonight. Hundreds of Tanzanians cross over to Mozambique to claim their belongings. 500 containers seized at Dar es Salaam port. And in sports, Tanzania to participate in World Military Games in China. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbo. First, the national news. Hundreds of residents from Kihamba village in Mtwara region have crossed over to Mozambique to remove their crops and belongings after they were given 3 days permission by the government of Tanzania and Mozambique to undertake the exercise. The residents of Kihamba village were seen to ferrying their cargo on canoes and others crossing River Ruvuma by foot. Mwanza Mtwara District Commissioner Edward Manda has said that the situation along the border of Tanzania and Mozambique is calm after the recent attacks in Mozambique, which resulted in the deaths of several Tanzanian nationals.
I'm somehow glad, but there are some crops that we'd hoped that we would get some money by end of the season, but we've not received any. The government has allowed us to go and collect our possessions, so we'll come back to Tanzania and find work from here. I'm so grateful that we were allowed to go back and collect our belongings. If we were not allowed to, then some of our items could have been damaged. It is a matter of going in and coming back. The return when the season is over. On the day the killings took place, 2 women were abducted. Measures are being taken to rescue them. I've not had any report today on progress made, but I will keep a follow-up. No arrest has been made.
The Minister of Works, Transport and Communication, Isaac Amwelwe, has seized 500 containers which were destined for Dar es Salaam port but were instead on their way to other ports, saying claims that the government had prohibited offloading of cargo at dry ports was not true. The Tanzania Port Authority has also clarified on congestion of lorries from the port at the weighing station in Kurasini area.
Yanazunguka nimekamata juzi kuna mzigo wa makontena 500.
A couple of days ago there was a cargo of 500 containers. When other ships dock, they were instructed to go to the other port because in this particular one, we were not allowing containers to go to AICD. This is not true. Containers are allowed to go to AICD as usual, but they are directed by Port Authority and the cargo owner. I'm glad that talks are going on well and we will call them back after.
But you know, the coordination between the different parties, it's something that is very much required, and like my colleague just mentioned, now in other ports, mainly in South Africa, you can keep it for 1 year, very easy, there is no issue. By the end of the day, the people that is keeping it at the port, of course it's clear to everyone that to keep product at the port, it's more costly than keeping it inland. So if somebody is keeping it at the port, it's costing him already money, and very big money. So he doesn't have any interest to continue doing it because he's losing on his position. So if he does this, of course he's forced to do it. So we don't want to, on top of it, load him with other costs that is completely unnecessary.
Some of us were not able to work for 24 hours, 7 days a week. You find in the mornings there are no vehicles going out. Between 2 to 3 in the afternoon, you find between 200 to 500 vehicles leaving at the same time. This has been the source of the problem, even in the past.
Some residents from Mchikichini ward in Ilala Municipal, Dar es Salaam have deserted their homes after their houses were surrounded by water flowing from rainwater canals. The stagnant waters have become a breeding ground for mosquitoes and dengue threat to residents in the area, a situation that has led to an anti-mosquito spraying operation.
What bothers me is that when we are flooded, we don't see any politician, maybe just one, who shows up for a couple of minutes and leaves. We are not in need of aid. What matters to us is the canal. This canal is very big. I remember when I was little, I could not cross over, but today my son can cross over. The canal is full of rubbish. They should clean it up. By coming today to spray pesticide is of no help to us. We've suffered already. We'll come back and clean the canal, but they must also take care of their homestays. The government's duty is to take care of the infrastructure. What I'd like to urge the general public is that it is not that dengue is no more. Statistics show that in Ilala, in May, we had 525 cases, but for June, the number has gone down to 207 cases. You can clearly see that measures taken have contributed in reducing the number of people infected with dengue virus. My hope is that by July 30th, we are not going to have anyone suffering from dengue in Tanzania. It is possible if everyone in his own capacity can do something about mosquito breeding, but also for local government authority to address this in their areas.
Tunawataka ni wajibu wao, wasisubiri mkuu wa wilaya au mkurugenzi aje. Asubuhi unaangalia. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has met and held talks with the Vietnamese ambassador in the country, Nguyen Don, where he invited businesses from Vietnam to invest in various sectors, such as the industrial sector. On his part, Ambassador Don said that the Deputy Prime Minister of Vietnam, Trinh Dinh Dang, is expected to visit Tanzania on July 9th this year. The Defense and Security Committee in Karagwe District, Kagera region, has rescued 25 followers of Omkilembo Church at Lukole village, run by Ugandan preacher, after they were found locked in the church where they had gone to get spiritual and traditional healing. They were found in poor health conditions after being denied to seek medical treatment from the hospital and health centers. The District Commissioner, Godfrey Mheluka, has directed the police force to arrest the preacher who managed to get away.
I would like to instruct that these patients should be rushed to hospital at once. They should also begin to undergo treatment immediately. For example, just look at this woman here. She was okay initially, but after enduring the suffering that has taken place here, you can see that she is close to giving birth. And might I add, just look at how weak that woman seems over there. So I would like to repeat that all of them should be taken rapidly to hospital. Starting from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., they would lay us all out onto a mat. I would like to reveal that worshipping at this church seems more like fighting in a quarrel. For example, after laying us all onto a mat, they would begin to beat us severely, and for my part, I used to get very injured from these beatings. Now, after seeing how badly I was beaten, I saw that I needed to escape, and so I ran away towards the toilet. I would like to say that the injuries this woman is speaking of are real. As her neighbor, my mother used to go and visit her to see how she was doing. When my mother would return home, she would tell me that our neighbor was attending a church where believers were being tied tightly by ropes and then beaten severely.
The Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Martin Ngoga, has commended investment made on a modern technology used by IPP media houses, saying it was in line with technological changes taking place globally used to inform the public. He made the remarks after touring ITV station in Dar es Salaam with his host ITV Radio 1 Managing Director Joyce Muhavile, where he was able to witness various production activities by ITV Radio 1, East Africa TV, East Africa Radio, Capital TV and Capital Radio.
Siku zote kwa miaka mingi sana nimekuwa nikiangalia ITV, lakini ni
I've been watching ITV for many years. It's only today when I paid a visit that I realized what we see and hear is fruits of a lot of hard work done by many people that we don't get to see. I would like to commend you, very much so, but also on the technology you use. As you know, in Tanzania, technology is advancing very fast, but you've done well in keeping up to date. I would like to commend you on the high number of people you've employed. In East Africa, we are very proud of the level of investment you've applied. I've been here for a while, so I know at the time this was new in Tanzania, it was groundbreaking, and we've witnessed the growth. I would like to advise management to expand to other regions in East Africa, which will take proud in that too.
shughuli zenu mwende hata katika nchi zingine za Afrika Mashariki.
The Deputy Minister of Education, Science and Technology, William Ole Nasha, has expressed dismay at some of the institutions under his ministry participating at the 43rd Dar es Salaam International Trade Fair, which have displayed paperwork instead of showing practical demonstrations to people attending the trade fair.
Baadhi ya mabanda ya taasisi zetu wameleta tu makabrasha.
If you visit some of the exhibition booths, you find some have only brochures. If you produce an item, bring it so others can be motivated to come and learn from you. Something I've also noted is that there is a lot of creativity from our youths from different colleges. VETA is a leader in this regard, but we've also seen University of Dar es Salaam.
Na vijana wetu mbalimbali katika vyuo mbalimbali.
President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya is expected to start a 2-day private visit to Tanzania on Friday, following an invitation from President Dr. John Pombe Magufuli. President Kenyatta is expected to land at Chato Airport at 10 a.m., after which he will head to President Magufuli's home at Mlimani village, where he will hold talks with his host. Now moving on, the ambassador of Japan in the country, Shinichi Goto, has said government of Japan will continue to cooperate with Tanzania in various development projects with the aim of achieving the goal of becoming a middle-income industrial economy.
Yeah. We have a very long history of this supporting the financial support, so how to improve such kind of scheme, and also the capacity building very important. Such kind of issue be put attention during the summit meeting, I guess.
And that is the end of national news. International news follows shortly. And in international news, Member of Parliament for Starehe in Kenya, Charles Njagwa, has been released on bail of 500,000 Kenyan shillings cash bail after denying incitement charges opened against him. He is alleged to have said that foreign nationals, particularly Tanzanians and Ugandans, doing business in Kenya should leave the country. He is alleged to have committed the offense on June 24th at Nyamakima within Nairobi County. He was arrested on June 26th and has been held in police custody.
I take into account all factors of setting bond and bail terms, including payment of 500,000 Kenyan shillings cash or alternative to cash bail or similar amount. He has denied his vow of removing foreigners from their offices, beating them up and taking them to the airport to go back to their countries. His statement has incited Kenyans in violating government's rules and regulations.
Summit as head of the EU Commission to become the first female president in the EU. All the way from Berlin, we have Thomas Spiro, our correspondent from Deutsche Welle. Thomas, what system is used to nominate candidates for the post?
Well, EU leaders, in other words, the heads of government, met in Brussels for an extremely long summit. In fact, some people described it as the longest summit yet, to nominate the person or the people for the EU's key positions, and that comes after the European Parliament results of last May. And it was a very long and a very controversial process, because the people or the candidates that had led the different parties during the European elections, in other words, Manfred Weber from the center right and Franz Timmermans from the center left, did not convince European leaders. So that's why they came with names after names after names, and those names were then discussed among European leaders, and it was at the end of those discussions when they decided that the best candidate possible could be Ursula von der Leyen, as you said, Germany's defense minister, who's viewed favorably by Germany, obviously by France because she speaks French, she grew up and was born in Belgium, also by some of Eastern Europeans, some of the Eastern European countries like the Visegrad states. So that's why in the end European leaders came up with the name of Ursula von der Leyen. Now it's important to stress that this is only a proposed name. Now it's up to the European Parliament to decide whether they will accept that proposal and formally name Ursula von der Leyen as head of the EU Commission, and that is still a big question because many in the European Parliament are against this idea of European leaders meeting separately and discussing their own names when there were already leading candidates who had actually been on the ballot. So this is actually a very controversial situation here in Europe, and it is still unclear whether Ursula von der Leyen will become the next head of the EU Commission, which, by the way, is the most important position in the EU. It's seen as the executive branch and the top position in Brussels.
Now, if elected, what does this mean for Germany and Europe as a whole?
Well, for Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, this has been seen as a key victory, having a German nominated for Europe's top job after many debates and discussions. So this is one element to consider, in particular because Ursula von der Leyen is not any politician. She's actually one of Angela Merkel's closest allies. She's described as the only minister that has been with Angela Merkel since Angela Merkel became Chancellor in 2005. Ursula von der Leyen is now Germany's Minister of Defense, but before she was Germany's Labour Minister, and before that she was Germany's Family Minister. So she has been in a series of different positions here in Germany, and it is now probable that she will make the jump or make the move to Brussels.
Now, what has been the reaction so far in Germany and other EU member states on the latest outcome?
It's been a mixed reaction, I would clearly say, although some members of the Conservative Party here in Germany, the CDU, have favored Ursula von der Leyen, have welcomed the announcement. After all, Ursula von der Leyen, just like Angela Merkel, belongs to the CDU, the Conservative Party, but there has been a lot of negative reaction, I must add, from the Social Democrats. The Social Democrats are a member of the Grand Coalition. They're Angela Merkel's junior partners in the governing coalition, and they have clearly said that they reject this decision, this announcement, that they favored the idea of the leading candidates, as I mentioned earlier, and that they do not view this in good light, this announcement of Ursula von der Leyen.
So when is the European Parliament likely to vote on the top leadership position, including that of the President?
It is likely to be discussed in the month of July, probably in the middle of July. That is at least the information that we have so far. The current head of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, is or will remain in his post until the end of October, and then is when the new head would take over. But from the information that we have, the election of the new head of the European Commission would take place in the middle of July.
All right, thank you so much, Tom Aspire. We'll be continuing to catch on how will the elections be like, and the final person who will go for the position. And that is the end of international news. Business news follows shortly.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
To be rich, I have to be a business person.
It's not an easy road at all.
People need to understand. You must quickly think, how cost effective are you going to be?
Business acts as a way in which it can bridge that gap.
Business Edition will keep you informed on latest developments in the financial sector, extractive industry, tourism, agriculture, energy, construction, and so much more. Meet entrepreneurs who create employment opportunities. Watch Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and in business news. The Minister of Agriculture, Japhet Hassunga, has said the government has started a process to prepare an insurance strategy for farmers, which aims to support them when they incur losses from poor harvests.
I'm glad that this year we're determined to introduce crop insurance so that once disasters strike, farmers can recover their investment. We need such services and financial services to reach all villages in Tanzania. We also need factories that will help in processing raw materials as well as increase value of crops. That is why even this year's trade fair theme is on prioritizing processing of agriculture produce in the country.
The Agriculture Market Development Institution has said that district and regional business councils are key players in bringing about a conducive business environment.
The issue on charges is just one of the few reasons outlined, but I know there is more which cannot be discussed in just a few meetings. Annually, we need to have a proper place where we shall be holding meetings on a regular basis.
The Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office for Policy, Parliament, Labour, Youth and People with Disabilities, Janista Mhagama, has called on residents from 8 regions where the oil pipeline from Hoima in Uganda to Tanga passes through to use it to bring about economic development.
It is important for citizens to be informed on available opportunities because the pipeline will have several stations like pumping stations, maintenance amongst others. If people are well informed, they will find ways of finding activities that will support them to generate income at the stations. Prime Minister's Office is looking forward to visit each station in all regions involved to sensitize other people on opportunities available.
And that is the end of business news. Sports news follows shortly after the break.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 metres. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 metres. Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose to Lynn.
And in sports news, Tanzania will take part in World Military Championships taking place this October in China, with athletes representing the country in athletics, wrestling and boxing events.
I am speaking on behalf of the Military Sports Council. It is true, we are coordinating the participation of Tanzania in that competition. The information we have is that Tanzania is expected to participate in the competition in 3 games: boxing, wrestling and athletics.
The Mufindi Nevada Mug of Gold competition has ended with lack of adequate facilities for upcoming golfers being the main challenge.
The challenges are many, especially for players who have low incomes, because playing golf in Mufindi Club, you have to pay a certain amount. So for those who have low income, it has become a challenge. We have left a message that they should help those who are not able so that they can play for free.
Cameroon, the holders, will face the 3-time Africa Cup of Nations winners Nigeria in the last 16 of the 2019 edition after they were held to a 0-0 draw by Benin, who sealed their place in the knockout stages for the first time.
Side needed victory to guarantee they progressed from Group F in first place, but found the stubborn Benin side hard to break down in Ismailia and had to settle for second. They now play Gernot Dross' side in Alexandria on Saturday, with the hosts Egypt potentially waiting in the quarterfinals. Michael Dusuyer's Benin team held on for a point that means they progress as one of the 4 best third-place teams, but will face a tough test against unbeaten Morocco in Cairo on Friday. Surprise package Madagascar will face DR Congo in Alexandria on Sunday. Meanwhile, Ghana's 2-0 victory over Guinea-Bissau, thanks to goals from Jordan Ayew and Thomas Partey, ensured they topped Group F and earned a potentially easier path to the final. The Black Stars will now face Tunisia, who came second in Group E after a goalless draw with Mauritania. Mali secured top spot in Group E after Amadou Haidara scored the only goal of the game against Angola in Suez. The RB Leipzig midfielder struck from 25 yards out after 37 minutes with a contender for goal of the tournament. The Eagles will stay in Suez to take on Ivory Coast on Monday. Defeat for Angola allowed South Africa to sneak into the knockout stage, where they will face Egypt.
And Lionel Messi accused the referee of bias after Argentina were beaten 2-0 by Brazil in the Copa America semi-final. Here are more details.
The Argentina captain felt a number of decisions went against his side in Belo Horizonte, as goals from Gabriel Jesus and Roberto Firmino in each half put Brazil through to the final against Chile or Peru. Messi was particularly aggrieved. Argentina were not awarded a penalty by the Ecuadorian referee Rodi Zambrano immediately before Brazil's second goal, but that was only one of a number of complaints. Despite the result, Messi was proud of his teammates and believes there is a bright future ahead for Argentina.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. Thank you for watching and good night.
TV, EATV, Capital TV, Radio 1, East Africa Radio na